as well. That's his wife, Rosemary, standing behind him.
Uh-huh.
And, all the different Mayapuri students are there, interacting with them to ask them how they're being benefited. So, Bill, you can now see it nicely.
Oh, yes.
All these beautiful murals were done by a team from Ireland.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. You had some visitors from Ireland recently?
It's been a while now, this was
Yep.
before the pandemic, but this center was beautifully painted by the team. And there is one person who's going to be on the call. She's the chair of Friends of Asha-Australia.
Oh, excellent.
So she will be on the call. I mean, it's just that he's a little early, so I think people will only join the call at 10. I think we just have a few more minutes, 3 more minutes to go. So,
Sure.
but that'll give him some time to look around. And so this team from Ireland comes out every 18 months, but now it's been a while. And they make the center look really pretty, and they also do a lot of work with the kids. I'd like to acknowledge the presence of Freddie. He's over here.
Freddie, hi. Long time no see.
Yeah. And Freddie has been the mover and shaker of the actual setting up of the laboratory. So he and his team have done all the research and set up the internet, set up all the hardware and the software.
Well, Freddie, you've done a very good job by the look of it.
Looks great.
Yeah.
We've got a good team who work really hard.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, really exciting because this is the first one, and hopefully there'll be many more to follow in the days to come.
Good.
Okay, let's see who we have here now.
Mahinda.
Mahinder is there. Is he there? I can't. Can you see him?
Just connecting to the audio.
Oh, Your Excellency. Hello. I would say good evening from here, but good morning to you in India.
Morning.
What a pleasure to have you here with us in Mayapuri this morning. And this is the first IT center with high-speed internet of its kind, possibly right in the heart of a slum in Delhi. There isn't any such center, and this is all because of the wonderful generosity of two Australian donors. One is Bill Burdett, and the other one is Sue and John Harris, a couple. Bill is on the call today, and he will be speaking with us a little later. People are still joining, but there's basically just 1 minute to go. So I'll just wait for that 1 minute because we've said 10 a.m. to everyone. And as soon as it's 10 a.m., we will begin. And all those who keep joining, just request Amitava to ensure that they keep muting. And I will definitely request you to kindly unmute when it's your turn to speak.
So Kiran, who's on the left, is the founder. There she is, also second. Yeah, there she is there. I don't know why there's two of her. Freddie is her husband. Oh, there's my dad, Jack Leader. He's there. Fiona, there's Fiona, who normally works.
Okay, we're going to begin. This is a wonderful day. First of all, I'd really like to very, very warmly welcome His Excellency Barry O'Farrell, the High Commissioner of Australia to India. He's been all over the country, even though there's a pandemic that's been going on. But it's great to see that he actually is here in person at Mayapuri. And his lovely wife, Rosemary, is with him as well, I believe. I saw her standing behind him. And a very warm welcome to Rosemary also. and the other team members from the High Commission who are there. Christian, Jack. Hello, Rosemary. How lovely to see you on Zoom. Hopefully we'll meet you in person. I will. I know the others will get a chance today. And I know that there are some others from the High Commission as well. I believe Hema Rance and Christian Jack are there as well. It's great to have you. And I'd like to also warmly welcome Robert Johansson, who is the chair of Australian Friends of Asha. I would also like to welcome all the board members of Australian Friends of Asha. I can see a lot of them on the screen. And Bill Burdett, who is one of the two major donors for that have, this is because of that, this IT lab has actually been able to be made available to the wonderful people of Mayapuri. And then we also have actually the chair of Friends of Asha Ireland with us, Victoria Thampi. And I know that the people from Ireland have done a lot in this community, and all the beautiful murals you see on the walls of this lovely lab were painted by people from Ireland. And so it's great that she could join us. And to all the other wonderful students, a very warm welcome. All of them are seated on their lovely chairs with their desktops in front of them, and they're all on Zoom, so which is awesome. This is the first ever IT center, I think, in the slums of Delhi with high-speed internet. And there's an optical cable, which is something that we've never had in all the years that we've been functioning in the slums. And it was just not possible to have this kind of internet before this. And the pandemic has been extremely challenging, for people in the slums. I won't go into the other challenges, but the most important, of course, that relate to this IT lab is the fact that all education entirely moved to online. So whether it was school or university education, it all just suddenly moved online. And for the 15,000 people who live in this community, sandwiched between a railway line and a scrapyard, this came as a big shock, as it did to all the slum dwellers everywhere else. I mean, no one in Mayapuri has a Wi-Fi at home. I mean, you might have a handful, maybe 3 or 4 families where there are perhaps 2 or 3 earning members. Other than that, there's absolutely no one who has Wi-Fi. And there are a few students who have laptops, but those are the ones that Asha has given laptops to, because they're really expensive. It's really hard for a family that's earning 150 or 200 Australian dollars a month to be able to afford a laptop. So that's a thing that it's a big luxury which they just can't afford. So what they did is that a lot of families got together and somehow managed to buy the cheapest mobile phone that was possible. And the thing is that they were sharing that cheap mobile phone between all the family members. So, if the father wants it and then the mother pulls it from the father's hand, and then suddenly the student needs it for a class, and then suddenly it's yanked away from the student's hand by a younger brother or something like that. So that was what was going on with all these students who were using these kind of cheap mobile phones. And the camera in these phones is of extremely poor quality. So if you're trying to get online and listen to a lecture or a talk, it's all very hazy and blurred. You can't really see anything properly. And the internet speed is so slow that the call keeps dropping. So, they usually get a pack which is 1 GB per day. That's the pack that they usually buy, a data pack that gives you 1 GB per day. Now, 1 GB per day is just about enough for 2 classes on Zoom, whether it's in college or whether it's in school. So first of all, the call can drop. Secondly, if that 1 GB runs out, then they will not recharge their phone until the next day. They'll just wait for the next day. And so if there are 4 lectures, then they only do 2 and then miss the other 2. And the other funny thing that somebody told me yesterday was that what happens is that when you're on a Zoom call and if the call drops, your teacher will not readmit you because they won't realize that you're not there, even though you want to be readmitted into the lecture. So, once your call is dropped, it's really hard to get back into the classroom. And you know that there are the features on a mobile phone are way more limited than the ones on a desktop. And needless to say that the environment in Mayapuri is far from conducive to study, because you have the trains, going by every few minutes, and the rattling sound, and then all the announcements from the railway platform, and the clanging of utensils. In fact, it's just a little story. Like, I do Zoom calls with our kids a lot. And, so if they're sitting at home, it's very interesting to hear what else you hear on the Zoom call apart from their own voices, because I've heard cows moo, I've heard goats bleat, I've heard, sounds from the, bathing area, just behind a curtain, morning ablutions, you can hear so many things on a Zoom call. And I'm going like, if I'm finding it so disruptive, I don't know how these kids actually sit there and study, or, even listen to a class. And so, and then I also realized another thing, that you need to be highly self-motivated in order to be able to successfully do online learning. Because all the checks and balances, all the accountability, the support structures which are available at school, the monitoring that is available by the faculty, all that is suddenly gone. And poor instruction is a big problem as well. You need to be so disciplined, and it's hard because you're not able to give yourself that structure because of the environment you're in and that constraint of space and all of that. So the IT center that we are all enjoying today became a top priority, and my very, big thanks to Bill and to John and Sue for making the contributions to make this happen. And one interesting thing that I found when this IT center began, because it just started a few days before today, is that a lot of students wouldn't come to use it. I'm going like, I was expecting a long line, of people who are desperate and dying to get in front of this desktop. I'm going, why are there two computers that are lying here unused? And then I realized that they have never used it, so they don't understand its importance. That's the thing. They've never ever sat in front of a desktop. They don't know what it offers. Then it reminded me of the days when in 2008 I tried to convince students to get into university, and I was going, the opportunity to go to university is such an awesome one, but they wouldn't take it just because they didn't know what it was. So this was the same thing. So I know that it's going to be a while before they start getting accustomed to the joys of this lab, and their minds open up to understand the various opportunities it offers. But that's just the reality of a child living in a slum community. Well, we hope that wonderful things will come of it. I mean, folks like Tushar, who are on this call today, are heading to Sydney University in August of 2021, and it's all because of IT facilities available to him at home through Asha and so on. And then there's Mala on the call, who's also going to be looking after this lab. And while she hasn't received an admission yet, I know she's well on her way, and our chair of Australian Friends of Asha is determined to find her a place at University of Melbourne if she happens to meet the criteria. So 2 students from Mayapuri are going to be in Australia quite soon, which is so exciting. And may there be many such more Malas and many such more Tushars, and may this IT center really produce amazing students that can be able to flourish fully and arrive at their fullest potential, and a dedicated space for learning. May they do well in their exams, in their assignments, be able to support one another, not feel isolated, have more motivation, have more aspiration, and not drop out from school or from university now that the center is there. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening to me. It's a real pleasure that I was able to see you all and address you. Thank you. I will now ask the Asha graduate, Mala, to kindly unmute herself and make some remarks.
Good evening to all the members of Friends of Asha in Australia and around the world. My name is Mala and I live in Mayapuri Slum community. There are thousands of families who live beside the railway line like us. My father was working as a checker in a factory, but due to the pandemic, he is currently unemployed. Living in a slum is not an easy process. There are so many problems like water shortage, unhygienic public toilets, and the dirt surrounding us. And these are few of them. Through my association with Asha, I was successfully able to complete my degree in a BA with History and Political Science. Today, I am an Asha graduate, currently working as a social worker in a Mayapuri Asha Center. With the pandemic, both school and university education have shifted online. This has caused a lots of stress for the students. Most of the families in Mayapuri are very poor, but for their school, their children's education, they have to purchase a cheap smartphones for their children's education. They have only a small income in a month, and it's very hard for them to purchase these kind of a mobile for their children. And the another major issue is to purchase expensive mobile internet data. After attending only 2 online classes in a day, the data can be finished. They can buy a new mobile data only when they have money. And most of the students and families have access only one smartphone on a large number of 8 family members. Hundreds of slum children are still do not have internet access, and because of these problems, they are missing out their school and university education. It is very difficult for them to study inside and outside, and in a presence of so much noise. It's just because the train passed by every 5 minutes here. It's also cause of a network issue, constantly disturbing the streaming of online classes. All the children of Mayapuri are very excited for the new IT lab. They both students and college students are visiting online for the online classes in a Mayapuri center on a regular basis. And they use this IT lab for their education, online classes, and the searching material and the online submission of their homeworks. Visiting online regularly, it's made a schedule for them, and it's very good for them also. I would like to thank all the friends of Australia Asha families, and particularly to 2 donors who have made this dream to come true. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mala. That was
Thank you,
really
ma'am.
nice to hear from you. Thank you very much indeed. Bill Burdett, who is on the board of Australian Friends of Asha and one of the 2 major donors who has contributed to this lab. To say.
Thank you, Kiran. Thank you. Your Excellency, Chairman of AshaAustralia, Robert Johansson, fellow board members, distinguished guests, Victoria, extremely attractive decorations that you and your team have done for the IT Centre. This is really a very exciting day, I think, this launch of the IT lab. It was almost exactly 10 years ago. I was in Delhi for the launch of what was described as a new India-Australia partnership. And it was a grand occasion with government ministers and many dignitaries present. And after the ceremony, there was an informal buffet supper. And I had the opportunity to speak to a number of the young people, the students of Asha. Many fewer in those days than there are today, of course, because Asha has continued to grow under the inspiring leadership of Kiran. And I was struck by the optimism, by the energy, by the positiveness of these young people who really, compared with us in Australia, have had so few opportunities, but who have benefited incredibly from the opportunities that Asha has given them. And I see this IT lab as a contribution in the opportunities available to students who are either at high school or university. A little opportunity like this, with a small gesture from us, I know from, well, apart from anything else, the really exceptional postgraduate students who have been able to come to Australia from Asha, having graduated as undergraduates and now doing graduate studies. And really, it is such a credit to the whole Asha community. I think that this transformative process is taking place and continuing to grow. And Your Excellency, you're very much a part of that. I think the Australia-India linkage has been helped enormously by you and some of your predecessors. And of course, without the inspiration of Kiran, I suspect none of this will have happened. But I hope that given the small contribution that John and Sue Harris and my wife Sandra and I have been able to make to establish this first IT lab, that we'll see many more labs, which will give even more students the opportunity to progress to their full potential. Kiran, thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate your contributions and your remarks. May I now request Your Excellency to make his remarks. Thank you.
Well, firstly, can I thank the Harris and Burdett families for enabling me to inaugurate this IT centre here today. And it's as important as Dr. Shaw has said, Martin has said, sorry, in the sense that, as we've seen over the past 14 months, online education has become, in many senses, the only education that students are getting. And if you don't have the facilities, you can't prosper. I want to particularly thank all the Australian Friends of Asha, but also those who've joined us worldwide. I hope Victoria takes satisfaction that it's an Irish name Australian ambassador who has inaugurated the centre here today. But I simply wanted to say, as Bill Burdett has mentioned, that many of my predecessors have been actively involved, dragged along by Kiran to maintain and increase support for Asha. Peter Varghese, though, of course, introduced the internship program. And I just wanted to remind some of the supporters that I started my week on Monday meeting a young man who works for the Australian High Commission. He was supported through his education by Asha. He did an internship with us. He did an internship with the British High Commission. He did internships for companies as well. He finally secured on merit a role at the Australian High Commission, which he's leaving. And he's leaving because he's going off to work for an Australian international company with offices in Delhi. This young man who you supported, Kiran, through this organisation with the support of the people on the Zoom today, got his degree, got his second degree. He's now studying himself for a master's degree. He's supporting his brother and sister as they study. And of course, he's supporting his family. It's an extraordinary example of the transformation that the donations made by people in Australia, I would say that in particular, but obviously around the world, to support the great work that you lead here with over the economic, health and holistic development of disadvantaged people in this slum. And it's a real pleasure for me to be here. It's the first time my wife's evinced some interest to come with me, so you've even got her on board. So thank you very much, and thank you again to the Burdett and Harris families, specifically the contribution you've made to this and to enabling me to open the first thing I've ever opened in India besides the front door.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much for your remarks. didn't realize that this was your first inauguration. We will remember that always. And of course, the High Commissioner will get the opportunity to interact with members of the community after this inauguration is over. He will meet with a lot of people, women, young people, and then has also expressed a desire to go right in. So he's going to be escorted by the Asha team members and volunteers to the railway line, where he will be able to see for himself where some of the folks live. Some of them are on this call, and there are others, homes of some women whom you will meet later. So just want to say a huge thank you that you actually are willing to come out and do this and actually walk all the way to the railway tracks. Really look forward to continuing strengthening of our bonds, and maybe together do a lot more and continue to transform a lot more lives in the times that you're going to be in India. I'm so excited about it. Can I now, we are going to close this event and we'll request the chair of Australian Friends of Asha to deliver the vote of thanks, please.
Thank you, Kiran. Thank you, everybody, for attending today. And thank you especially, High Commissioner. The High Commission's involvement with Asha has been now there for 25 years. It's an important involvement. It's seen off a lot of High Commissioners and a lot of staff, many of whom have continued to be involved now from all around the world in the work of the various groups of Friends of Asha. It's important because if Australia's relationship with India is to be robust and resilient and long-lasting, as it is in our interest that it must be, it needs to be a relationship with all levels of Indian society. And the involvement with Asha is clearly one part of that. Of course, the example of Australia and of the Australian High Commission has now been adopted by many other embassies and High Commissions. And so it's become, from our involvement, a great international movement. Thank you especially to the particular donors, the Harris and the Burdett families. But there are other people too who've given support to the establishment of this centre, and we hope to other centres. I think we can see what a difference this centre is already making. Thank you very much to everyone at Asha. Obviously to you, Kiran, but to all the staff and all to the young people, the COVID warriors who've made such a difference to the lives of the people in what is now over 90 communities spread throughout Delhi over these last 12 very difficult months. The centre we've been able to help establish is a fantastic resource to support and nurture the education of these children. For without doubt, it is the education of the children that offers them and their communities the best hope. Now over 3,000 students from Asha are at or have graduated from university, and many more thousands at secondary school and primary school who've only done that as a result of their involvement with Asha. But we know that we need to have more of them in other communities. I, each week, talk to a young woman who's in a different community, and I'm trying to help her with her English. She engages with me on this small mobile phone that sometimes works in a cramped, confined area with the family all round and noises outside. This resource would make a huge difference to her as it is to the children of Mayapuri. As I say, we need to have more of them in other communities for other people. So thank you all very much for joining us today. This has really been a very special occasion. And I hope that this in its own way can provide a little example to encourage other children to go on to university, to go stay at school, and to others to help facilitate this fantastic project that we have. Thank you very much, Kiran.
Thank you so much, Robert, for your vote of thanks. Thank you. And we now would like to bring this event to an end. And once again, Your Excellency, many, many thanks. Victoria from Ireland, the entire board from Australia, and all the wonderful students. Big thanks to Freddie and to Aisha and to all the other team members who are on the call, who have worked day and night to make the center a possibility. So thank you. And I will now end this wonderful morning.